Last federal agency speaker is John Armour, Director of the Office of National Marine Sanctuaries. In this capacity, he provides strategic vision for the program and overall policy direction. He's been with NOAA for over 2 decades and has a Bachelor in Science in Marine Science from the University of South Carolina and a Master of Science from our local university where I am here in Environmental Science and Policy from Johns Hopkins University. NOAA's just been a wonderful partner, and they're one of the agencies, really thinking about recreation differently under his leadership, and thanks to Grace on our Partners Outdoors Planning Committee. We're really excited to have you here today to help us wrap up the day. A couple more comment speakers after you, but thanks for closing the federal agency portion of this discussion. I'll hand it over to you, John.
Yeah, thanks, Jess. I really appreciate that. And I also want to reiterate your thanks to Grace Petita Williamson on Team Sanctuaries. She really has done a phenomenal job, like you said, of really connecting the concept of sanctuaries to sustainable recreation and tourism. I just want to thank you for inviting both of us to be part of this, part of this couple of days. This is really phenomenal. You had a really fantastic agenda and some really great discussions that I saw. So kudos to you and to the entire team that put this on. And it's really, for me, being on here, it's really just a great opportunity to highlight the importance of the ocean and the Great Lakes to recreation and tourism, to the recreation and tourism economy as well, the importance of marine tourism and recreation. So really happy to be here, and I really, really appreciate it. For folks that don't know, National Marine Sanctuaries are, it's a type of protected area in the ocean, marine protected area like national parks in the ocean that are managed for compatible use. And they provide critical habitat and protection for natural and cultural resources while sustaining responsible recreation and tourism. So for folks that haven't heard our name before, the name Sanctuary can elicit images of places that you can't go, can't enjoy. But in fact, that's not how National Marine Sanctuaries were structured when the National Marine Sanctuaries Act was passed nearly 50 years ago. And in fact, this is a place that the sanctuaries are places where we generally want people to get out and enjoy, understand, and really come to love these really, really special places in the ocean. We view it as our duty to inspire folks to get out and experience these places and to promote. And one of the ways we do that is to promote sustainable recreation and tourism through partnerships like with Jess and your group and OR&R. So this is really fantastic. Really appreciate being here. And as was just said on the last panel, it can't really be ignored, the importance that ocean recreation and tourism have on local communities where we live, and is so important. So we view the relationship between a healthy ecosystem and a healthy economy as really inextricably linked there. And so this again, these partnerships are really important. But one of the other ways that I wanted to stress here is public engagement, and how important public engagement is to achieving our mandate. Now, whether you're talking about the fact that some of our national marine sanctuaries are offshore, and so public engagement is key to not only getting people out there to enjoy, but at least even to just know they're there. And so we really make it a core part of our being as a program. It's just a commitment to public engagement in many different ways, whether it's our education and outreach efforts, or our public processes or management processes, et cetera, all rely heavily on really thorough public engagement. But one of the other ways we do this is through our advisory council process. So we have 17 advisory councils across the National Marine Sanctuary System, 634 people representing a diverse group of stakeholder interests, from commercial fishing to recreation to tourism, business, conservation organizations, you name it. All the advisory councils provide a community-based venue for these folks to sit around the table to talk about some of the issues facing the marine environment, but even more importantly, to come up with creative, innovative solutions to those. Now, one of those advisory councils that we have established is called the Business Advisory Council, and there are some folks that have been on, including Jess herself, that are actually members of this Business Advisory Council. And we have focused, this Business Advisory Council that we have formed right now is focused exclusively on sustainable, accessible recreation and tourism, and to provide us with advice on how to continue to support sustainable recreation and tourism and national marine sanctuaries around the system. And this was said too on that last panel, the timing could not be better right now. Obviously, coming out of a pandemic, and and really trying to understand how deeply impacted sanctuary communities were from the pandemic. Having this relationship and having this advice from Jess and others on the Business Advisory Council is going to be just super important and critical. So I'm really looking forward to it. I know Grace is as well, to really getting this Business Advisory Council going and to really hearing more. Just a couple other things that I wanted to cover, and then and then I'll leave it. But and I know it's been mentioned earlier on in the meeting, but the report, America the Beautiful, public report that was issued back on May 6th. The fact that it very clearly talked about the importance of looking at conservation to address the loss of natural areas and natural resources, to address climate change, and accessibility, disparities in access to the outdoors. And so, I'm really excited about the report calls out national marine sanctuaries, as well as national estuarine research reserves, which are also implemented by NOAA in partnership with coastal states. The importance of these marine protected areas in helping to meet those goals and to address those challenges was very front and center in that report. And so, we're excited to be working with you all to help understand where we want to go and what should we be prioritizing for helping to meet those the administration's goals. And I'm really happy that national marine sanctuaries are going to be front and center for us. In specifically, one of the things that we're working on is we are working to complete 2 national marine sanctuary designations that are in the different phases of their process. We have the Wisconsin Shipwreck Coast Sanctuary designation that we're working on in collaboration with the state of Wisconsin and local municipalities along the Lake Michigan shoreline there. So hoping to get that finished pretty soon. And then we're also hoping to put out a proposed designation in Lake Ontario for the upstate New York area. So, like I said, this is really just an exciting time to be working with you all on fostering sustainable recreation and tourism in the marine environment, and the role that marine protected areas, specifically national marine sanctuaries, can play in that is just really, really exciting. I'll just conclude by saying, as I alluded earlier, the concept of national marine sanctuaries is actually about to turn 50 next year. So we are in October of 2022. We will be celebrating our 50th anniversary. President Nixon signed the National Marine Sanctuaries Act into law in October of 1972. And we need to use this milestone to really reinvent how national marine sanctuaries and other marine protected areas are not just addressing the challenges of yesterday, the challenges that the ocean faced yesterday in the 1970s and 80s, but also projecting forward and making sure that marine protected areas and national marine sanctuaries are addressing the challenges of tomorrow. And obviously the American Beautiful Report did a really great job of articulating what those are. And these are things that we've been working on for a while. We've been trying to develop strategies to make national marine sanctuaries more accessible, more relevant to a wider audience of people, bringing in underrepresented groups to our workforce, to our advisory councils, and to ocean conservation generally. So looking at diversity, justice, equity, and inclusion. We've also, obviously, the existential threat of climate change and the impact that that's having, not just on our ecosystems and our heritage resources, but on our communities that are reliant on those. And then finally, it's also the 50th anniversary is also an opportunity to reinvent how we interact with tribal and indigenous communities around the sanctuary system, and being respectful and mindful of the fact that these communities have been managing these marine resources for millennia. So taking that into account and working hand in hand with them going forward. So this 50th anniversary is super excited. I invite all of you to participate with us and to help us celebrate. And I'm looking forward to it. So Jess, I think with that, I will pass it back to you.
Thank you. Thanks so much, John. Thanks for your partnership. We really appreciate it. We are closing up with two more speakers. We're really thrilled to be joined by Rob Flaherty, the Director of Digital Strategy from the White House, where he and his team engage and connect Americans across the country with President Biden and the administration across a multitude of platforms. Prior to the White House, he worked for a number of political campaigns, including the Biden and Clinton campaigns, as well as the Beto O'Rourke and Terry McAuliffe campaigns. Rob, we're really thrilled to have you here today. I know you were part of the RecX presentation on the future of communications and digital that happened earlier, but would love you to continue that conversation for a few minutes before we wrap with one more speaker, Gerry from our team, and then we'll close Partners Outdoors 2020. So thanks for being here, Rob.
Awesome, thank you, Jess. And sorry, I actually had to miss earlier for some scheduling turbulence that went on here, but such is the White House. Thank you all for having me. I will pick up where I was supposed to pick up on sort of how we are viewing the world of communication right now and how we are viewing sort of communicating online for the President of the United States. When the President campaigned, he talked about the battle for the soul of the nation. And on the campaign side, the strategy was sort of infamously the battle for the soul of the internet. A lot of this work hinges on this idea that the internet is increasingly a fragmented place, that there is no real version of digital broadcast unless you're paying for really expensive digital inventory, right? And so what it does is it sort of moves people into their corners based on interests, right? Whether those interests are political or recreational or vocational. Social media inherently just pulls people into audience-based corners, right? So part of that is acknowledging that nothing that we do is going to be seen by everybody. And in fact, the people who follow the White House's channels are most likely to be the people who follow the White House and follow the president's agenda. But at the same time, we have this obligation. We want to show America that we have a transparent government. We want to show, connect people to the agenda and to the benefits of the agenda, both in terms of the political implications of that, right? Like how they will stand to benefit, but also literally, how do you access the child tax credit? What happened to your stimulus check? These kinds of questions. And when you kind of run the own content system of the White House, you have to think about all of that. But you also have to know that, again, there's limits to who's going to see everything. So we built out a really robust operation here, sort of first of its kind, focus on video-driven content from our channels, stealing a lot of tactics from the media industry, publishers, folks like Now This and BuzzFeed and things like that. And we try to think of ourselves as our own sort of publication, highlighting what the president's doing and getting his message out into the world. But that can only get you so far. So we actually built out a secondary team called the Digital Partnerships team, whose job it is to work with content creators, influencers, people that the audiences that we need to talk to actually trust day to day. Now, if you squint, this looks really, really similar to more traditional earned media. But we sort of take the same approach and the same rigor that you would apply to, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times. Then we take that same approach and we apply it to, prominent YouTubers and Instagram meme pages. We hold off the record calls with them, that kind of thing, to help get ourselves in front of those audiences. And I really think that this is for folks who are trying to expand their reach off of owned audience and owned channel. This is really the future, and this is really important work, especially for those who have mission-based and mission-based messages and message-based initiatives. So all of that ties together in sort of pressing forward for the Biden agenda and the Biden-Harris administration, and continuing to try to tell the story of the work that we are doing here. So really excited to be here. Really grateful for the invitation, and apologies for running a little bit late. But that's sort of the story of what we're doing here, and hopefully some of this can apply to the work that you all are doing.
Rob, thanks so much. And that's actually, it's worked out really well, because our next and final speaker is a new member of our ORR team who actually is an expert sort of in the digital space and creating urban and rural, merging the divide between urban and rural America through social media and through using the digital space. So appreciate that. Good preface for our final speaker. That worked out well. We love having you here and joining us. And I'm excited to introduce Gerry, who is a new member of the ORR team, working on some initiatives around diversity and access that we'll be announcing next week, and really excited to tell you all more about. So please tune in next week for that. Gerry's an Air Force veteran, social artist, photojournalist, past outdoor Afro leader, and founder of Explore Kentucky, which is what I was just speaking about. So Gerry, I think I'll hand it off to you to introduce yourself to the team of people that hopefully you'll be working with for the next few months and years, and then we'll close out after your remarks. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jessica, for that intro. Yep. So my name is Gerry James. I live right here in beautiful Frankfort, Kentucky, which is the capital of Kentucky. And I am the founder of the Explore Kentucky initiative. And kind of like Rob was just talking about, when I was in college, I founded Explore Kentucky in college using digital media tools like Instagram, Facebook, and like new media to promote this image of Kentucky beyond like the 3 Bs, I call them: bourbon, bluegrass, and basketball, because we have really wonderful like outdoor recreational spaces here, but we also have a lot of environmental degradation here due to our industry, our economy, like largely focused on manufacturing and natural resource extraction. And so I felt like when I was in college, I was like, if I can use this digital media, new media, to promote this image, and I can get, help with ecotourism, I can help with conservation, and then also help with public health. And that's kind of like how I got started. It kind of just stumbled upon this. Well, not stumbled upon it, but it kind of just became a thing. And I was able to curate it into an actual organization, and from just being a social media thing to an actual organization where I do like a lot of things, from like developing trails. I've worked with different entities like the Army Corps, the National Park Service. And then the lens that I do all my work through is through the JEDI DEI lens, Justice, Equity, Diversity, Inclusion lens, because it's very important to get people from all different walks of life involved in this, in these spaces where people like me have been traditionally marginalized or excluded from. And so some of the projects that I've like worked on are, and specifically in that space, is we had a state park in Kentucky. In Kentucky, almost to the 1970s, there's only one state park that Black folk could go to. That was Cherokee State Park. And so I've been working with the Friends of Cherokee, a bunch of elders, to help revitalize the park and get more messaging and funding to do like interpretive displays and programs and things of that sort. Like Jessica said, I served as an outdoor Afro leader, which is an organization that promotes Black leadership in the outdoors. And then I do a lot of stuff with Louisville Metro Parks. Like this weekend, we have Shawnee Outdoor Adventure Day. And we're doing canoe trips. When Shawnee and the area of West Louisville is predominantly Black neighborhoods, so they're developing a whole outdoor initiative there with a recreation center, canoes. They just built a multi-million-dollar boat ramp, the first boat ramp that community has had in years. So I've been involved with that, and that kind of led me to ORR. Was like, I was like, I've been doing all this like work on a regional level, but I think it's time to make that leap, to do things on a national level, so I could like, especially as being someone here in the South, I could give ORR and the broader industry my knowledge, but also so I can also take or learn from the broader industry and community and organizations as well, so that I can take all those best practices and apply it back to my region. And so I feel like this is like a really like symbiotic relationship. And I feel, elated and really excited to be doing, to be here in front of y'all, be working with ORR. Like I said yesterday too, I was talking to folks. I didn't think that they would pick someone because I'm not like, or pick me because I'm not in the Beltway. I'm not in DC area, but I'm really glad that they did. And I'm not, I'm a decent speaker, but I'm more of a field work guy. So I'm ready to get down to work and do the thing. So thank you y'all.
Thanks, Gerry. As a Beltway person, we are so happy that the virtual world that was created during COVID has allowed us to work more with people across the country. Kentucky is lucky to have you. ORR is lucky to have you on board. And we encourage everyone to follow along with your work and our work together next week as we talk more about this partnership. So.